Yeah,
Martin,
exactly.
McDonnell Douglas.
Lockheed Martin, all of it. We could go on and on. And the information is the same because this is in coordination with Cornell University. I mean, just as the military and the media and the banks work together, the major universities also operate as big sources of funding. So not only is New York City giving money, but Cornell is giving a whole part of their trust is supposed to be for education to build a weapons lab.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So it's and that's the educational cover.
Is there a move for divestiture?
There's quite a move among students at Cornell to expose this whole deal and to oppose it. Yeah. On the same basis, how was this secret deal arrived at between the university president and a billionaire mayor and some U.S. corporations? But it shows how big decisions that will impact lives both of disabled patients in a hospital, that will impact everyone in New York City, we're not even consulted on. That's democracy today in the U.S., where you can vote every 4 years, or you can vote here in New York City for a billionaire who has the funding to project a campaign. But it's not, you can't vote on anything that really decides your life.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that was most shocking was 10 years ago that there were thousands and thousands of people in the streets protesting the threat of U.S. invasion of Iraq. Not only in this country. I mean, I was in the streets in New York, but also,
hundreds of thousands and millions.
15 million.
And practically no coverage of it in the media.
Exactly. That is so true. While the lies were covered nonstop,
Right.
you really have to hunt for any coverage
Right.
of a demonstration. People would be thrilled when it would have one article, and yet that was completely submerged in the war
Well,
story.
let me ask you, with all these people who are absorbing weaponry right now, or it seems like there's been since Newtown, a lot of people have been reporting there's been an escalation in weapons sales, and I don't know if you know that there's a tremendous controversy around Newtown also, that every single thing that's been reported has a contradictory story along with it. In other words, there's like 3 sides to this story, and a lot of people are saying some very, very crazy things about what happened there, that it was staged by the government, essentially.
Like what? How are you hearing something contradictory?
It's all over the internet. It's on like 200 different sites, okay? So they're saying that the government staged it. All these people who have guns, many of them are conservatives or right-wingers. Do you think that they've been radicalized in an anti-government way now? Do they perceive Obama as an agent of in a sense of an occupying force that's our own government turned inward?
They do.
And did it start because he was black, or is it way beyond that? Maybe it started.
It's because Obama is the greatest warmongering president ever. A black man and a Democrat.
But you're saying that these right-wing people who are packing guns
Yes.
think he's the greatest warmonger? I don't think so. I don't understand that conversion.
Now people are afraid of their own military. They see what the military does in other countries, and they are shit scared.
So they're
Excuse
shocked.
my expression.
They feel it could turn inward.
It could turn inward any moment, and with drones, it's so easy.
Well, look at the drug smuggling you could do with drones.
All right, let Sarah respond.
No wonder they're in Peru. They're going to be smuggling cocaine in the drones.
Timmons.
They'll be smuggling cocaine in the drones.
What do you want to say
Well, one
about
thing in all this, there's endless devastating potential with technology. But there's also liberating potential with all kinds of forms of information and exchange.
Right.
And so we have to keep that in mind, because that's why I was saying the importance of this experience for me in Pakistan, that the U.S. can think they have the grip on all technology. That doesn't mean there will be acceptance. There's a great deal of anger on many, many levels.
Yeah.
And I think we is part of the very air racism in the U.S. It's what the U.S. was built on. It is what exists at the deepest level today. And
What,
So-
excuse me, please elaborate on that, because.
Well, all these right-wingers, they think that Obama is a Muslim. I mean, you know, you have a lot of people
Well-
packing guns who think that way.
There
there's,
are many
there's,
different races in the world. What-
That's not funny.
no,
It's
what
funny.
I said, what I
It's
said.
not
was-
funny.
It's a joke, it's a
It's
joke.
not funny.
What I-
Those people look at him as being a Muslim.
No, well, whatever.
wait a
So I don't know how they make the
Big
leap.
spokesman for
How do they make the
corporate
leap of faith
Department
that
of
he's a
Defense.
Muslim and he's controlling the whole military-industrial
He
complex?
just
How do
about
they, it's insane.
A black
Well, I'm not, it's not even worth dignifying.
That's not about dignifying, they think that way.
Extreme
The bird for
right-wing
controversy.
Let her talk.
crack ideas, it's really not.
What?
You can't answer or run around and clean up all the garbage that there is on the internet, or answer every ridiculous.
No, I'm
detail.
saying that there's a
Well,
lot of,
I-
just a second, I'm saying that there's a lot of right-wing people who think Obama's a Muslim. Okay, they're all packing heat. A lot of them are upstate, they're all over the place.
So what?
I'm asking you, why do you think, how can they be thinking this and then thinking that a Muslim is controlling our government to turn against them for that reason? Because we're saying, oh, well, they're aware of how powerful this government is and how warlike this government is. But how can you then make that leap of faith and say, oh yeah, we're being controlled by a Muslim? I'm trying to explain something to you here.
I
There's
know
a
that you are.
disconnect. And that's what I'm trying to analyze.
There is a huge disconnect, because white workers and black workers and Latino workers, the whole population here is in a meltdown in terms of their standard of living, in terms of their future. And it breeds real fear and apprehension, which can go two directions. It can go against the government, yes, but in a way of fascism, or it can drive toward, no, we need to unite. So there will be, and there's real
Factional
corporate
fighting.
funding, there's real corporate funding behind the most racist and right-wing and anti-Muslim. We've got to keep people divided, whether it was consciously sending in Colonel Steele in Iraq to foment civil war and create religious differences, where it had not existed in Iraq's history. Yet you can foment wars, and that is all too often the policy of corporate power. Now, it is important to recognize just what and how racism fuels everything here in the United States. It's important to come up to that again and again. This was a country founded on the slave trade and the genocide of Native people. It was the greatest source of capital concentration and wealth. And it permeated every law. It permeated from the Declaration of Independence to what was in the Constitution. A Bill of Rights for rich white men of property.
Thanks.
And if you were a woman, of course, you had no right to own anything, including the clothes on your back. And African people were owned.
Yeah.
That was policy. That was policy, North and South, not just in the South. And Native people were not considered humans. So this is the basis. Even today, people glorify the Constitution. They should take a look at it.
But wait a second.
There were certain
Paul-
rights that even to get the Constitution passed, were demanded. That's the origin of the Bill of Rights. But today, when you look at the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization, they want to do away with even what was in the Bill of Rights.
Well, of course.
So past gains, even securing them, are now challenged. But how we look at it, it's important to recognize that what racism has done in the past and why it's important to consciously oppose it now, along with opposing the wars, to consciously take it on and actually confront racist ideas. You're mentioning how to deal with people upstate. Most important thing is to challenge the very basis of the racist ideas they have and say, where do you get the ideas and whose benefit is it that you're so sunk in garbage, really, in terms of ideas and mentality.
Well, a lot of these factions are very polarized. They're very polarized. You're not going to reach them necessarily. And I mean, what I'm saying to you is you got to try to figure out, we all have to try to figure out whither are we drifting here. Because also on the other side of it, there's a lot of very warlike Muslims out there too. Okay? Muslims aren't all peace-loving people either, you know. But we've got warlike people in the United States. We've got probably umpteen threats on the president, which we never hear about, which is why they're passing all this crap, saying, okay, you want to make a move, try it, we'll wipe out your entire town. Or whatever it is we'll do. Because I don't see a good future for this country, to tell you the truth. I think we're really in big trouble.
We're in very, very big trouble. That's important to recognize. And it's important to try to define both where the problem is coming from and what's the way forward. Because unless there's some understanding of the, like, how to wage a struggle that both challenges the banks and also finds common ground and confronts the racism that's part of the culture here today. And the sexism, let's say, and when you look at every issue, LGBT oppression and the discrimination, which is so deep, all of this is like part of the culture.
But it's reducing. That's getting better.
Because it's being challenged.
Right.
How about the
Any
ageism?
idea, unless it's challenged, you know, you sort of sink into the stew of it because it's so pervasive in the media and in the culture and in what the country was founded on.
All right.
Yeah.
I just, to go to an issue that's very close to all of our hearts, which is why we're here, as producers of public access, I think it's very important that we who depend on that outlet and an incredibly and growing importance having that outlet, that we take cognizance of the way it's being run, and that I've been going to the board meetings. Joe Friendly went to the last board meeting, and I think saw close hand what the problems are. The board of directors of M&N is as closed-minded and as really sexist and racist. It's run by two guys. There's the chair of the board is this guy Norris Chumley, who doesn't let the women speak. It was really interesting. I don't know if Joe noticed this, but it was anytime one of the women board of directors was supposed to give a report on their committee, which the committees are supposed to be open to the public. The committees are completely closed. No one is ever announced. The board meeting itself is supposed to be publicly announced. It's never announced when the board meetings are. And they shut us down very close, very, very soon, and told us that everything had to be, that the next part of the meeting was going to be executive committee.
Yeah, they've always had that.
But they have to say in the open meeting rules of New York State, it says that if there is an executive committee, a closed meeting, you have to state why it is what it is about.
Yeah.
And they did not do that at all.
That's
And
true.
as soon as these women got up to make their reports, they were interrupted by Norris Chumley before they even started making their reports. I mean, I urge you to go. That we did ensure that the meetings are supposed to be open, and they can't kick us out.
You
There's
should post it on Facebook or something. I mean, no one's ever posting this information.
Well, they should. By law, they're supposed to post it.
Yeah, but I mean, we can't expect them to, they're
Yeah.
obviously not interested in
Well,
promoting it,
if you
so
could give before
when
we
you find
leave, if
this
you
out,
could
you
leave
should put it all over the place.
your emails with me, I will
Yeah.
definitely tell you, because just being there, you see how closed it is and how there is a kind of alternative agenda, and the funds are being really misused. There is a very good franchise, but most of the people who were doing the education have been fired. They have many less staff, faculty, who should be, there should be people helping. And this whole redo of the technology, I think, is a way of keeping out whole classes of people who don't have the ability to use, to have enough hard drive space to edit with HD. It takes a tremendous amount of editing. They're upping the ante so that it's going to be a lot harder for us to have access. And now they don't really want you to, they said, well, our staff will make the programs for you, which is very nice, but that means the staff, they don't have the staff to do that. There's so many more people who want to use the channels and the equipment, and that need to have people who assist them, facilitators. They don't, the whole atmosphere has changed there from being one of facilitation, and also in the past they gave grants to community groups to make their own programming. And those, it's been 5.5 years now that those grants haven't come out. That was $200,000 a year that was going to different community groups, Native American groups, Asian groups, so that they would be able to train people within their communities to actually make programming. And that whole program has completely gone.
Let's see equipment. If you recorded the historic anti-war rallies on Hi8, VHS, beta, pneumatic, forget it. And that material cannot be
they're not interested
used.
in preservation. They're not interested in archival preservation.
That's
I've
And we're-
talked to them
I know.
We're
before about
consumers
it.
too. We have simple cameras, and then the equipment doesn't.
No, it's very curious, for a moment. Mr. Channer here, who's been doing access since the first camcorder came off of Japan, has so many different tapes of so many different
Errors.
eras.
Formats.
What's this? To the point where he's not able to find equipment that could even show his first program. And everything has to be changed and changed. Now everything has to be, high digital. And somebody just told me that, high digital going out in a nanosecond. There's something coming in called analog that's going to do out such and such.
analog is old.
No,
Yeah.
analog is.
I think it's the other way around, yeah.
Oh, I know, I don't even know, I just want IBM Selectric, that's all. But the point is that all the huge energy of all these individuals who have taped, gone out, slogged it through, want the information, got copies. They're now coffee table talk because they're dust, because nobody can see them, because the new machinery can't accommodate them. So you have to get new machinery to make it transfer, so you can see it.
And Maggie, some of that is precious
Some of the most
footage.
precious pieces of
Interviews with people who are long gone,
Bucky,
you know.
Buckminster Ford, Harold has
Yeah.
on his tape.
Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein, he has
Yeah.
on his tape.
Well,
Yeah, and I would say I'm behind the camera now. We want Sarah to comment. But the thing I see now, and I'm not sure, but I saw a guy come in with Larry Park's show straight from Intel, and he knew more. And that the whole data thing is now going exponential. It's hard to know it's going exponential. And the basis for all data retrieval and capture and so forth is going to be based upon DNA. It's going to be unlimited. So they're going to, and that's apparently in the works.
What do you mean DNA?
DNA, they're going to use DNA as a model for data storage and collection. So they're going to be going in, they'll be obviating everything that is, and so it's indicative of a change, a qualitative change, not a quantitative change, of historical transformation. You talked before about the need to get demand into the hands of people in an age where robots are taking over in a new kind of way. You have an alternate way to get demand into the hands of the people of the world in order to allow the good society to come out. But it's a time of qualitative change. We've got to start thinking about this is at a moment of the beginning of punctuated equilibrium in an evolutionary sense, not just a historical sense. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Well said, Harold.
Well,
I'd like
that's
to
what I
draw
think.
attention, if I may, to what Paula, Gloria, and Joe Barton have discovered that I never quite got, but now I got it when we talk about corporate law versus constitutional law, and we're sovereign beings. We're not a commodity of a corporation.
Did you hear Sarah
and
talk
in
about
debt.
that Constitution was based upon rich white men? It was just another phase of history,
No,
like going
when I
from
demand
feudalism.
constitutional law, I write a passage. I hold harmless no one. They people in power are harming us with their chemtrails.
They
with
always
their
have,
fluoride.
Frank.
The head of Monsanto's head of FDA. What is that? These are people poisoning
The
us.
emperors of Rome did that. The crowned heads of Europe and feudalism did that. The corporate system did that
I know,
now.
but I don't. They're criminals.
But the
What they do
Constitution
to
of-
Bradley Manning and what they're doing to people worldwide is criminal.
The Constitution of the United
why don't you
States
let
is
him
not
finish?
holy writ. It's not. It's just another phase of history. We're coming.
So what's your point, Harold?
The point is we got to start thinking comprehensively, not historically, not dialectical materialism. We got to start thinking evolutionarily. We're coming into a new relationship in the universe. That means we're coming to the end of the Homo sapien era. We got out of Homo habilis. We're now coming to the end of Homo sapien.
Well, wait a second. No, what you're
Okay.
talking about is good, but it's sociology.
That's not sociology, it's comprehensive
All right.
thinking
What is
on
that?
evolutionary terms.
Yeah,
We're coming to liberation, or we're coming to the point where we can annihilate our species and stop
We know
consciousness.
that.
No, we don't know that. It's
Let's
never-
hear Sarah
We know
respond.
Yeah, let's let Sarah talk for crying out
I
loud.
just want to draw attention to the fact that we have constitutional law and a division in this country where Paul and Joe have been able to stand up to the courts and walk out because they don't recognize the authority of this court.
They do, they
They
count
recognize
south.
the-
Harold, will you let him speak for
Yeah.
Christ's sake?
Or not
Let him
guilty.
get his point across. With your mumbo jumbo bullshit.
All right, they did the same.
No, we're all mumbo Joe.
No, we're not all mumbo jumbo.
I'm sorry. Everyone has
Don't
their
start.
head in their own
Say
idea.
what you want to say.
I
Don't
simply want
use
to
your
say
time
that
wisely.
we are free through love. Loving light and being like Jesus freed. This is Easter. Time of
What happened to the
redemption,
Constitution?
of opening up to the truth.
Thanks, Harold, for fucking
No,
it
I
up.
mean the idea that
You didn't let
Joe
him
and Gloria have walked out of court. We can walk freely with our love.
But he don't want to hear that.
They want us to fight. They want us to,
That's
they want us to
right.
play the game and fight each other and militarize the country and create a war.
Well, you see what just happened. You tried to make a point, and he completely threw a wrench in what you were trying to say.
That's all right.
I think it's very disingenuous, Harold. He pulls that shit all the time. Wake up.
No, we're all.
Really?
We all got our heads
See
stuck
what
up
he
our
just
ass,
did.
man.
He just sabotaged your point.
All right, fine. I'm just saying that.
Well, we just say to the camera, apparently the thing is broken up. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much for presenting some really good stuff. And I guess the party's over. So good night, everybody. On the thing. Have drink up and have some coffee.
I apologize if